Here's a rundown of the key points from Quiz 3. So, who are the Minoans? The Minoans are the original indigenous civilization of the Aegean, living on the island of Crete, the great island of Crete, during the Bronze Age, and they are known as seagoers and traders. They are not Greeks, and so it's better to say living on Crete or living in the Aegean. The Greeks come later and create this new thing that we retroactively call Greece. What are some of the reasons we know so little about them? There are a bunch of things that converge to make this happen. The fact that the Minoans are so mysterious to us. One is the collapse of the Bronze Age itself, which brings down all of the civilizations and cultures of the Bronze Age world. But there are two key things that I would want you to single out. One is the fact that their writing system is undeciphered. Linear A we cannot read it. And here's the thing, it's not because of linear A itself. It's not because linear A is, incredibly arcane or, opaque to us. We have some idea of how linear A works because it was copied by the Mycenaean Greeks and used for their language. The main problem is that the Minoan language is completely unknown to us, and it's isolated from all other languages, so we can't get cognates and references from other tongues. The second thing to bear in mind is that Minoan society was absorbed and displaced by the Mycenaean Greeks. As a result, the evidence of the Minoans is crowded out. What we have mainly is visual, because some Minoan cities, and particularly their capital city, Knossos, have been excavated. And so we have visuals of Minoan society, but we can't hear the Minoans speak to us. What kinds of things did the Mycenaean Greeks learn from the Minoans? There are a number of things, again, that can be mentioned here, and a lot of you brought them up in the quizzes. The first thing to think about is the fact that the Mycenaean Greeks are a tribal people from the north that are used to horses and oxen and wagons. They don't know anything about the world of the sea that they encounter when they enter the Aegean Mediterranean region. And so they learn from the Minoans seacraft, navigation, shipbuilding, and the principles of a trading network across the sea. They also learn about urban society, and they build and emulate palace cities along the lines of the Minoans, which are not simply urban centers, but a style, a form of economic structure that places a high king at the top, the Wanaks, and controls the output, production, and market of the entire society. And so, very top-down, very vertical society. They emulate the palace city structure and create an industrial economy in emulation of the Minoans. And they also copy, certain aspects of Minoan society, some elements of their religion, but they retain key Indo-European elements of their religion. So, for example, the focus on the sky god, Zeus, is very much an Indo-European thing, and we see this in other Indo-European societies, like the Romans, for example. But they copy the Minoan technology. In a sense, the palace city economic system is a technology. Technology is something that is produced by human ingenuity to make things more profitable or more successful. The palace city system is certainly this. They also copy the writing system of the Minoans, as I mentioned. This is another technology that they get from the Minoans. All of this results in the Mycenaean Greeks being able to build a thriving industrial culture, and given their drive and aggression, they are able to surpass the Minoans. They also have a military advantage over the Minoans because they have expertise in the wheel and the axle, something the Minoans do not need because they're a seagoing culture. And so as a result, they have, in warfare, they have the chariot, and they also have, the horse Again, horse mastery, not something that the Minoans have naturally. The result is that Mycenaean cavalry is an advantage on the battlefield that the Minoans don't have when it comes to conflict. But the subsumation of the Minoans is primarily a matter of Mycenaean trade aggression, crowding out the Minoans and swallowing them up. This brings them into conflict with Troy and the climactic Trojan War, which helps to bring down the entire Bronze Age. Who are the Phoenicians? Okay, so who are the Phoenicians? Well, first of all, don't get them confused with the Philistines. The Philistines are the refugees from the collapse of the Aegean who settle into Egyptian southern Canaan and help bring about the fall of the Egyptians. The Egyptians called them the Sea Peoples. That's the Philistines. The Phoenicians are the people that live in Iron Age Lebanon, and they have a city-state culture that is built around entrepreneurial trade. And there's a very key distinction between sort of centralized trade of the Minoans and the Mycenaeans, which is constructed from the top down, and the Wanux at the top tells everybody what to do, and it tends to be very conservative, not risk-taking, because the Wanux wants to ensure maximum profitability for the whole city and not put anything at risk. And so they keep pursuing things that work to the point that things become unbalanced. This is one of the reasons why the Bronze Age economy collapses, because it becomes unbalanced, because the people in charge of it keep pursuing the things that work as it becomes more and more untenable, as it becomes more and more difficult to accelerate the production of bronze and so forth and so on. Phoenicians practice entrepreneurial trade in which individual shipmasters go out and take the risk for themselves. And when they succeed, they bring about riches for themselves, which flow back into the Phoenician economy through commerce and tariffs and so forth, and raise the standard of living that way. And when they are unsuccessful in the risks that they take in finding new markets, in trying out new goods and so forth, that means that the risk falls upon themselves and is contained on that ship and shipmaster. And so you have all of these ships and shipmasters going out into the Mediterranean Sea and the Aegean and the Black Sea and creating this absolutely impressive network of trade that is built around the advantage that the Phoenicians have. First of all, entrepreneurial trade is itself an advantage. Second, the Phoenicians have access to unique natural resources that they are able to parlay into finished goods that generate great profit. The most important of these is Tyrian purple, the murex dye that they are able to draw from the murex shell, and which becomes because of the way that the Phoenicians sell it, a symbol of nobility and royalty all throughout the ancient world and for hundreds of years to come. Also, they have access to cedar, which we know from the Epic of Gilgamesh is the most prized of all wood because it is both beautiful and strong. They also have access to unique veins of marble and a number of other natural resources. But they don't just sell these resources, they turn them into Phoenician goods, textiles and so forth. And this means that they're able to increase the value of the raw materials that they are blessed with. So these two things help to bring about a trade system that connects the Mediterranean in a way that has not been done before, and brings about a greater sense of there being civilizations around the Mediterranean and the Aegean and the Black Sea. This also results in colonies being planted that have a long-term impact on the Mediterranean. Most importantly, Carthage, that becomes the trade empire nemesis of the Romans later on in the Iron Age. And as if that weren't enough, the Phoenicians develop a phonetic alphabet that they communicate to all the people that they encounter, spreading literacy throughout the Mediterranean world. And as I mentioned, a phonetic alphabet is much easier to access than the kinds of writing systems that had been in use before. And so this is part of the shift of empowerment from the few to the many that is characteristic of the Iron Age. Multiple choice question. Linear A is the still undeciphered writing system of the Minoans, as we talked about before. What's different about iron compared to bronze? All right, so it's not that iron is inherently stronger or better. Weapons made with iron are comparable to weapons made with bronze. The difference is that bronze is more difficult to produce in quantity because bronze requires control over copper and tin. And it's a technology that is relatively difficult to master. And so as a result, the production of bronze tools and bronze weapons in the Bronze Age is limited and expensive. Bronze is a luxury good, and this results in those tools and weapons going only to the rich. Iron ore is very common. And as a result of that, once the sort of threshold for figuring out how to smelt iron is passed, iron tools and weapons can be produced in quantity. This results in improved agricultural production, raising the standard of living, higher birth rate, lower death rates, a flourishing agricultural economy, and stronger people in terms of health and welfare and vibrancy, also stronger in terms of military aspect because it's possible to produce weapons, swords and spears in great quantity, and this introduces the age of the large Iron Age armies and the greater ease of conquest and the efforts made at producing empire through occupation and dominion with varied success, as we'll see when we go forward. And that's the end of the quiz. Please email me with any questions.